The fact that he can vividly remember these things tell you how
Mm,
deeply traumatizing they were. If you're remembering the time
yeah,
that your mom's coming home and your dad abandoned you, I mean, this is deeply ingrained
yeah,
psychological torment.
yeah. And he
Shout
didn't
out,
he didn't take them with him. That's tough.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to Samishi who just signed up for the Masculine Empowerment Network. Welcome aboard, buddy. Welcome aboard. Good to have you back.
Yeah, you bet.
Um, yeah, let's continue with this. I wasn't planning on playing the whole thing, but I think it's really important to break it down for the
I do
audience
too.
because I got more clips.
Let's do
And
it.
she walked in the door and stopped and just looked around like she felt something. And I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Your daddy's gone." I said, "Well, yeah, I seen him leave for work this morning." She said, No, he's gone, he's gone. And she ran into their bedroom and into their closet, and I followed her, and she opened the door, and there was his rack of clothing and all his belongings were gone. And she was quite upset. And I took her car and drove to my father's work. And I sat down in front of him at 15 and I said, "Listen, seems as though somebody stole all your clothes out of the closet." And he said, "Yeah, yeah." He said, "I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I can't live it anymore. You're the man. You're the man now."
Mm.
And those words didn't quite sit well with me. I didn't feel like I was ready to hear those words, but that's what I got. Um, then my mom went into a very, very dark place, a very deep, dark depression, as you can imagine. And and she one afternoon I woke up. I'd fallen asleep, and I woke up and walked out into the living room, and I saw my mother, um, like very feebly, and like almost it was like a slow motion crawl. If I could stand up, I could show you just the what I saw. Do you mind? Do you
No,
want
you
to?
can stand up.
Thank you. Um, I saw my mother, in that mode. So instantly, I knew that something was dreadfully wrong, and there's drool coming out of her mouth. And as I was about to run and call, the front door busted open, and my uncle and two paramedics came in and threw her on the gurney and whisked her out of the house to get her to the hospital to pump her stomach. She had swallowed a multitude of pills to,
Jeez.
to to try to take herself out, to try to commit suicide. And when she got out of the hospital, she was a small firecracker of a woman. She was about 5'2". But when she got out of the hospital, the depression was so deep. She was down to like she lived on the couch and she weighed about 70 pounds. And that all that imagery spun into my head at that time that I thought that was in my head at the time, I thought that was a cowardly way for my father to have left.
Mm.
And I was deeply upset by that. Until my father and I had a conversation years later where I asked him what really happened, how did it happen when I was older, and he told me the story.
Your Honor, may we approach? Sure.
So, I mean,
Very sad.
witnessing a mother trying to take her life on top of that, you know? Let me
I
see.
have a pretty dark story to add to that personally. We can
Well,
do it
no.
later.
He left.
Oh, sorry. Let me go back. Do you want to say that real quick? Go ahead.
It's not a real quick one, but I can talk a little bit about suicide in your family.
Well, I mean, I just think, yeah, it definitely it's a deep cut to even witness somebody attempt it.
Well, I'll just tell you, in the upbeat side of it, on the attempt, this is a very dark story. And if this has happened to you, I watched a man that overcame it, and that was my father. His soul rest in peace. He passed on. But his mother, at 7 years old, ate a bullet in front of him. And he went to 17 different high schools and 12 different foster homes. And there's a story how he pulled himself out. It's pretty amazing. I'll tell it sometime.
Yeah, let's continue. We got 3 minutes left here. So they're gonna recess. They're done with the recess.
Mr. Depp, how did you feel about your father when he left?
I was very disappointed in him because I started to believe that his exit was
Damn.
sneaky, cowardly. He didn't. When he said goodbye to me when he left for work that morning, he just said goodbye. Goodbye, Bob. No, see you later, Pop. That was it. Until I learned the truth from him.
It's deep.
And without getting into what your father told you, how has your impression of your father changed now?
Objection, relevance.
Your Honor, this is just an understanding of his perception of his family.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. Depp, what have you learned from your experience in your childhood and observing your father in your childhood?
I learned that I was wrong about my first impressions of his exit from the family. Very wrong. And I'll tell you one thing that I learned that was one of the best lessons I believe I've ever learned in my life, ever could learn in my life, was based on my experiences as a child and what I'd seen and experienced. I knew exactly how to raise children. When my girl Vanessa got pregnant, I knew exactly how to raise children, which was to do the opposite of what they did, of what Betty Sue did.
Yeah.
Never raise your voice in front of the children, never. Screaming out the word no to them. I never wanted to tell my kids no. I wanted to tell them that I wanted to show them that there were options. You don't have to stick the coat hanger in the electrical socket. Saying no is an abrupt thing, but to talk to them and say, if you understand the repercussions of something, then you won't go there.
Yeah, man. So that kind of, and it was a little bit of a long clip, and I don't think anybody has really played that clip and broken it down the way that I believe it needed to be broken down. And this is the root of it all: the childhood abuse, the seeing the parents in a very unhealthy dynamic, and his father unnecessarily white knighting and being a man and sticking it out and following that bullshit blue pill programming.
White knighting.
White
it has
knighting.
all of the flavors of a white knight.
Yeah. You see how this is manifested itself. Thor, I gotta just run to. I've been drinking a lot of water. Do you want to? I'll
No
just give you
worries.
full screen. Give me 2 minutes.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you guys just the story of it. I mean, this is so dark. And then her attempting the suicide, it's brutal on young people, and many of them don't come out of it. But there is a way out. As we all become adults, we make our own choices. Of course, we're influenced by our histories, but we don't have to be slaves to our history. Absolutely not. We don't have to be a slave at all to our history. We can overcome it. I watched my father overcome it. And I'll tell you his story. His story was he was the oldest of 3 brothers. Mother was very depressed. The father worked for the railroad. And the mother committed suicide by putting a gun in her mouth and shooting herself in front of the oldest son, which is my father. It deeply affected him. And I'll make a long story short. You know, if anybody had a reason to go crazy and be a complete dipshit or criminal, it was him. When he was 16, he found some puppies. And it had affected him so much, he murdered all 6 puppies. He strangled them all. And then it affected him so severely over the years that he decided to make a change. He felt so bad about what he had done. He joined the military, he got married, and he was a dog rescuer the rest of his life, trying to make up for what he had done out of his anger for what had happened to him early. He was very fortunate to acquire some discipline, but to watch that man tell that story on why he was a dog lover, dude, when I heard that story, I was a bit older, crushing. But the point of the story is you can change what's up here, even though you have no control as a child over what's going on with you. You know, you can make that choice. Difficult, of course, but as you become an adult, you make your own decisions. And to hear him talk a little bit about his dad, I just felt really bad for him because it does affect you in how you perceive the world.